This is such an interesting episode. Was this one that they pitched to you and you were like, yes?
I think I had when they told me that I was getting this episode, when Martin told me that, I was very excited because I'm a science fiction nerd and a horror nerd. So I had the same reaction I did last season when I got the demonic possession Halloween episode.
Going into this, did you have to do then any research into Area 51, or was that sort of common knowledge of someone who's a supernatural super fan?
I have a lot of knowledge of, I have a lot of conspiracy knowledge of Area 51. I don't have any direct knowledge. But I hadn't
That you're
really,
willing to say.
yeah, exactly. But I didn't have any real knowledge of Project Sign, which came before Project Blue Book. So I did get to do some research into that, and you know, um, it's an interesting thing when the government gets in and tries to disprove UFO sightings.
How hands-on were you then when it came to really speaking with the cast and talking with them about Project Sign's sort of historical significance?
Um, we talked a lot about it, and a lot of people were talking on set about the current state of UFO research, which seems to be, you know, the government just came out and said, yeah, UFOs exist, and we can't explain it. And it was like a side note in the newspaper. Nobody really cared, which seemed really strange, but I guess that's the time we live in. So, yeah, it felt like a timely episode to be working on, and it was, yeah, interesting.
Well, in this episode, Ben's transported to 1949 New Mexico, and he assumes this role of a government agent. Talk about working with him to sort of flesh out this character and whether this individual is a believer or has to or start to become one, and whether or not Raymond talked to you about his own beliefs.
I can't speak for Raymond's beliefs. He does wear a tinfoil hat on set a lot, so I'm sure no, he doesn't. But he's well, the great thing is he doesn't really change as a person. He's still Ben when he's in the other body. So what the other person believed, we don't necessarily learn. But the great premise of the episode is that he has to, he feels like the purpose of the leap, all he has to do is prove that aliens exist to exonerate this young girl. And I love that idea, like the impossible task of just proving to the world that aliens exist. So I thought that was fantastic, and I love watching his character. When I love how he plays when he's in unknowable situations. He did it the same in the demonic possession episode when he was faced with what he thought was an actual demon, even though science couldn't explain it. He has some great reactions as an actor.
And this leads me to the perfect next question is, were there specific scenes that maybe turned out even better than you sort of thought they would be once you saw them on the page and you're like, okay, watching it back, this is just going to be a fascinating and really special scene that people are going to be watching.
Yeah, I think a lot of the UFO stuff turned out better than I had um, anticipated based on the weather and some of the obstacles that we had in front of us. But I'm always amazed when I get on set. Sometimes I'll set up a shot and I'll look at it we have stand-ins that stand in while you're lighting, and I'll look at the shot while the stand-ins are there, and I'll be like, God, I'm terrible at this. This doesn't work. And then the actors come in and they're so good and you believe them, and suddenly the shot is so good, and I'm like, I'm a genius, So it's had a few moments like that with them. And yeah, the UFO stuff definitely the drone stuff turned out a lot better than I thought it should have, based on some of the things we suffered through.
There are some clearly difficult scenes to film, and as far as lighting, as far as making things as mysterious as possible, so I really think you achieved that so brilliantly with that, where people will be questioning throughout the episode at certain points, No, yes, no,
Yeah,
yes, there
yeah,
he did fight.
exactly.
What is it that continues to make you such a Quantum Leap fan and all in when it comes to these episodes?
I think the stories are really fresh, and the worlds that we're exploring are really fresh. And I think it's an important show because of the fact that it offers new perspectives. Our character has to go and walk a mile in someone else's shoes and learn what their lives are like. And I'm a big fan of people doing that because I feel like our society is isolating with phones and with politics and everything else. And I think it's an important lesson. And I think the show has a lot to offer in terms of that direction.
Is that what you also think continues to have made it such a fan favorite and it's earned an incredible season two? And I think that's based a little bit in part on the wonderful talents you've brought out in the character of the, excuse me, the actors and the scene work that you've displayed.
Oh, thank you very much. And I think our writers, our showrunners are just doing such a great job in reinventing the world and really pushing the limits of where we're going.